Get Monkey at Big Bad Toy Store. Link in the description.
Dragon Ball, Pokemon, Kaiju, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hello there, collectors, it's Steven here, and welcome to a review that I have been waiting to do for some time, and I'm actually pretty excited about. This is going to be a review of NECA's King Kong. Now, to be clear, this is not going to be any one particular design. No. This is not going to be Kong Skull Island. This is not going to be Jackson's Kong. This is not going to be Kong from the random 1970s movies or any Mighty Joe Young. Not even 1933. No. Because of the weird technicalities of the licensing rights and what is or is not in public domain, this is NECA's original OC Donut Steel King Kong.
But it's got a 1933 head sculpt.
Anyway, lots of folks have been divided over this one because, well, it's not a particular Kong, but at the same time, it looks like some other ones we know and love, but it doesn't quite hit the mark. It's not supposed to, but that's the case that they're making. With that being said, we also have some weird proportions, and some folks aren't really all that thrilled about the paint or articulation. That's what my job's for. Let's take a look to see whether or not King Kong is worth adding into your collection. And, get the monkey. So right out of the box, we have the not exactly 1933 roaring head sculpt. And I do have to say that overall for what we have here, for the basic presentation to kick things off, it looks very, very good. Something I said in a video many moons ago after Kong was first solicited was that when this releases, Kaiju fans who buy NECA products are going to see finally what it looks like when NECA puts forth their A game towards a Kaiju figure. And I do have to say that though this is not one of the best figures NECA has ever made, this is very good, and it's probably their best Kaiju figure. Now, in terms of looks, unfortunately, one of the issues that it seems like it's been hit or miss for the different Kongs that are on the market, the different units, unfortunately, they haven't been able to center the eyes correctly. Sometimes they're good, you know, this 1933 or not head sculpt on mine. The eyes, they're not perfect, but they're acceptable, not an issue. I've seen some folks where the eyes are literally wall-eyed. They're looking at different directions, one to the left, one to the right, not necessarily respectively. Yeah. My buddy Arlo from the Kaiju Planet, his alternate head sculpt we're going to be taking a look at a little bit. It kind of looks like one eye is crossed. Yeah, not very good there. So, yeah, quality control definitely could be better. However, when it's good, it's very good. Kong has some nice bloody slash marks across the chest. He also does have those marks on his face, so kudos to NECA for really keeping up that sort of theme that we have of battle damage Kongs. I wonder who's going to make the first non-battle damage Kong. That's going to be the repaint that they do, mark my words. Anyway, the one thing that I do think that they did miss here that I think the Mezco does a little better is that the fur, well, it's not really pronounced. It doesn't look like he's a very shaggy monkey, but at the same time, he doesn't necessarily have to be. So I do see why some folks are complaining there, but at the same time, detail just for the sake of detail doesn't mean that it's going to be good. What I will say though is that the paint application on Kong here is rather remarkable, at least on my unit. I have seen from some pictures online that it does seem like the paint is not following a template. It seems like the people at the factory are kind of going ham and doing whatever they think looks best per unit, which is totally fine. But whenever you see a Kong, don't think that that is going to be exactly what your unit looks like. That being said, throughout the rest of the figure, basically looks fine. Do keep in mind though that for the main torso of Kong, specifically for the belly and on down, he is going to be using a bit of a softer rubbery material. This comes into play when we're taking a look at the articulation, because as you use the different joints from the legs on down, if you're going to be pushing him forward, you may run into an issue over time where that may set and that his leg will be pushing that up. You just got to give it time to push it back down. You'll see what I mean once you get the figure. Anyway, I've gone on long enough. Kong looks great. The only issues, I would say objectively, he does have some very long, lanky arms. But other than that, he's totally fine. No real complaints here. All right, Kong's articulation is pretty stellar, if I do say so myself. Now, you're going to notice that Kong looks a little bit different so far compared to what we have seen, but that's okay. I'll explain why in a bit. Now, what does Kong have for articulation aside from all of the goods? Well, his heads, they plug in on a little ball joint, and then that ball joint plugs into the neck on the shoulders here on another ball joint. So we kind of get two ball joints there to help move Kong's head around, so he can look about that far up. He can't really look down, but looking left and right and twisting, that's all just fine. Kong's arms are basically perfect. We have a swivel hinge combo at the shoulders, so this way he can T-pose with the assistance of, go ahead and run through these, a dedicated bicep swivel with flaky paint. Talk about that in a second. We have double hinge elbows, which are very good. We get a nice bend there, and since they're the typical hinge joints that NECA is going to use, we do have swivels at the bicep where the elbow plugs in, and the forearm where the elbow plugs in. The wrists are on swivels and hinges as well. Once again, we have flaky paint. Talk about that. We do have a very, very well articulated ab crunch. You can see how well that moves. So yes, so Kong can't look down too far, but with the help of the ab crunch, that does help a little bit. And of course, he can look back as well. Very cool. He can do like a flying pose. So yeah. For the hips, Kong is going to be pretty interesting. So we'll cock him back all the way. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on a good day. 6 clicks in any direction of a ratchet joint hinge. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it seems, of a hinge going out that way as well on a ratchet. Now, ratchets are good because, one, those do not wear down over time as fast, and two, those help with heavier figures to hold the pose. The problem is we only have just those points. We don't have anywhere in between. So do keep that in mind when you're posing Kong, okay? So we don't have smooth movement, kind of like the hinges and the elbows. We just have those clicks. We also do have a thigh swivel. So there you go. Knees, double hinge, bend like that. Once again, flaked paint. For the ankles, we are going to have hinges, and they plug in on pegs to get the ankle rocker for a swivel. The ankles, they really don't like to move the feet too well, especially on this one, even after hitting it with hot water. So Kong can sometimes have a little difficulty standing there. So Kong really likes to flake paint. I mean, he really likes to flake paint. So do keep that in mind when you pick this guy up. So in terms of articulation, yeah, he's got some pretty lanky arms, but to be honest, aside from a couple of things that NECA really should have thought about, like his ability to look down and maybe rethinking the legs a little bit, Kong is essentially perfect in terms of articulation. Now, notice Kong looks a little different here. Let's take a closer look at that. By default, out of the box, Kong comes with a not 1933 head sculpt. And then he also comes with, as an accessory, this alternate expression, which some are saying is still the not 1933 head, but it's roaring instead of just a little bit of a yelp or something. I think this is meant to be a different Kong style altogether. Yeah, you go ahead and be the judge, but it's just going to simply be another roaring King Kong head sculpt, and I do have to say it's pretty good. This one has a little bit of a googly eye thing going on there, so do be careful when you're picking yours out, so this way that you do not get one with super duper derpy eyes. You'll also notice during the articulation section, Kong had a splayed hand. That's right, Kong, in addition to the fists, comes with a set of splayed hands. And in terms of accessories, that's going to be it. Yep. Now, again, keeping in mind that this had to be not a 1933 or a 62 or anything in the 70s or Peter Jackson or Skull Island, anything like that, they couldn't do that particular Kong. They had to make their own. So with that being said, they did a good job. However, they could have at least included a tree branch or a non-roaring or screaming head sculpt. a non-specific blonde female actor. That would have been great to add in too. Maybe even just a giant banana. Yeah, that would be cool to reference the Donkey Kong lawsuit. Something else as an accessory. However, knowing NECA, do have a feeling that they may do a repaint or even an ultimate sometime next year, which will include another head sculpt. So yeah. So in the meantime, if you are looking to get some help with accessories, you know I have a video to help you out with that. And I would also recommend picking up the Mezco Kong because the shackles do work well for this as well. Well, it's time to move on over to a size comparison. Boy, I outdid myself on this one. I am seriously patting myself on the back. For this one, quite frankly, I think you have a good idea of how big this Kong is. NECA originally built this at exactly 8 inches tall. And, well, I do have to say that if you are a fan of big monkeys, he will blend in just well. However, he does not blend in well with any of the NECA Godzilla figures to date, or so effectively ever. However, the SH Monster Arts Kokyo Kyok Godzilla, that is going to be the one you're going to want to pair this one with. Scales, I would say, perfectly. So, buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. I do have to say that I'm not a big King Kong fan. I don't really think that, Kong is too interesting. A giant monkey. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now, compared to a lizard that has dorsal plates that shoots fire and is radioactive, yeah, that has my attention. I'm playing with Kong here as I'm recording this. Yeah, that's got my attention a bit more. However, for this figure, yeah, I made a video a little while ago saying that this would show kaiju fans exactly what NECA is capable of. And I was right. This is better than any of NECA's Godzilla offerings. It is by far their best kaiju figure to date. It's worth picking up. Some folks have some issues with it, but to be honest, those issues are very, very small. Yes, his arms are long. He should come with more accessories, but what we get, it's just fine. I love it. I would buy it again. And I'm probably going to have to. And now that since the review is, pretty much over, it's a good time to make mention that Kong is the subject of September 2020's Patreon gallery over on my Patreon, which is going to be Kong getting into mischief with some of his friends, both familiar and new. That's right, so if you're interested in seeing a nice gallery of Kong, just a few pictures, not a super in-depth 500 plus picture gallery, you can head on over to my Patreon at the silver tier on up, and you can take a look at some of them. Really fun pictures there. And if you're interested, it does help out the channel, like buying a new remote shutter, because mine went out on me. Yeah. All right, so we're going to go ahead and roll the credits. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.